This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
The federal government says it will revise legal guidelines to comply with the Cape Town Convention, a globally recognized aircraft leasing standard. The current system operated in Nigeria allows airlines to seek a court order to stop the companies that lease the airplanes from claiming them in instances where the airlines default on agreements known as dry lease agreements. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, says Nigeria has been advised by the Aviation Working Group to adhere to its regulations. For more on this, we're joined by aviation expert Wale Shadari. Mr. Shadari, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right, so let's begin with a brief explanation of what the Cape Town Convention is and what a dry lease agreement is.
Thank you very much. Prior to now, I think in 2005, when we had two successive accidents involving Tosoliso and Bellevue Airline that killed over 500 people, which has been regarded as two most devastating accidents that the country has ever had. So the aviation industry in Nigeria went through a lot of problems. So we had Dr. Demorin, who was appointed by President Olusegun Obasanjo as the new DG of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and that started the reform in the aviation industry. A lot of people were running away from Nigeria. They didn't want to give us aircraft. Our safety was down. Our safety rating was down, so we needed to do a lot of things. Then again, we looked at it, how can we begin to get aircraft for airlines? How can they begin to lease aircraft at an affordable rate? So all those systems were changed, and Nigeria became a signatory to the Cape Town Convention. What the Cape Town Convention means is that you can lease aircraft, airline operators can lease aircraft from lessors all over the world. But there must be a guiding principle that whenever these aircraft are needed back by the lessors, the country, the people that have leased this aircraft will willingly return this aircraft to the owner. So it was a way of boosting the aviation industry and making sure that airline operators get aircraft at affordable rates. So, but over the time, we abused this convention, which means that if I collect aircraft from you and you default, the airline operator, the lessors can come into the country and repossess their aircraft. So the NCA was the guarantor that if you default in paying your lease rental, the NCA will help them to come and repossess the aircraft. So it boosted the aviation industry. We had relatively newer aircraft because at that time it was discovered that the airlines operating in the country were using geriatric or old aircraft at that particular time. So it was a good thing. So over the time we defaulted in paying the lease rental. So the lessor decided that no, they are not going to give us aircraft on dry leases anymore.
So, Mr. Shadari, apologies, let me interrupt you and at this point ask, if we are reviewing our guidelines so that we comply with the Cape Town Convention, clearly we're all for doing things the right way, but there is going to be an impact on the aviation sector as it is at the moment. Do you think local airlines are ready for this review?
Yes, okay. At that particular time, the country was blacklisted. So nobody was giving aircraft to Nigeria again on dry lease. What dry lease means is that you can be part owner of that airline. So they can give you aircraft, but you can use your crew, which makes it very cheap. So immediately we were blacklisted. So we reverted to dry lease. Dry lease means that I'm giving you the aircraft. I'm going to bring my own crew to operate the aircraft for you, and you're going to pay block hourly. So it became a problem. So, and it became very, very expensive. So we were blacklisted. So what the minister did now, Mr. Festus Keyamo, was to meet with this aviation working group, comprising two biggest aircraft manufacturers, Boeing and Boeing and Airbus, to look for ways that they can begin to assist the country, that the country can get the operators can get aircraft to do their operation, because most of the buying aircraft is very expensive. So all over the world, people do not even buy aircraft outside. They lease and they pay. It's a bit cheaper for them than going to buy an aircraft for $400 million per one or $500 million per one. So we were blacklisted, but the minister is working to see that this Nigeria was removed from the blacklist, so that this will help the aviation industry to grow. And that is one of the reasons he went to Lease, to Airbus, to begin to negotiate with them how they can help domestic airlines with aircraft and how they can expand the market in Nigeria.
Mr. Shadari, to perhaps a step back a bit, what happened with the whole idea of getting a court injunction to stop the airline owners from recovering their airplanes? Was it a case of the airplanes being requested for before the dry lease agreement was up, or was it a case of the airlines feeling that they needed to have their airplanes because they had an emergency? Can you speak to what's actually brought local airline operators to this point?
I think the opposite is the case. If you default, there's always an agreement. If people are going to give you your aircraft for you to operate, there's going to be an agreement what you're going to pay to them. But over time, some Nigerian airlines defaulted. And once they default and the people are coming, they rush to court. They are the one rushing to court. We have two instances that happened. So even a friend of mine who owns an airline, he defaulted in payment and he held the aircraft there. And once you hold an aircraft there and you're not operating the aircraft, it begins to depreciate in value. So they will now rush to court to get injunction, forgetting that Nigeria is a signatory to that Cape Town Convention. That when you default, the regulatory body, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, we invite them to the country and hand over these aircraft to them and say, please take your aircraft away, because we're a signatory to that convention. In fact, it was ratified. Nigeria was part of the people who ratified that convention. So once you violate, so that is why the FCA was involved, the regulator was involved, that once you default, they will just invite the lessors to come and pick their aircraft. So the FCA was like a guarantor for Nigeria and for the airlines. So they rushed to court. And that is why the minister is saying, no, he has spoken to the Attorney General that they shouldn't allow any judge to grant such injunction to detain people's aircraft in Nigeria. And this has given us a kind of bad image all over the world. And that is why insurance is very expensive. Airlines in Nigeria pay more for insurance than anybody anywhere in the world, because Nigeria has been tagged as a high risk. Right. If you bring the aircraft, the possibility of getting your aircraft out is difficult.
Well, Mr. Shadari, we do apologize. We have run out of time, but we want to say thank you very much for your time and your expertise on this conversation this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Our guest on the conversation is aviation expert Wole Shadari, who joined us to speak on the federal government's moves to revise legal guidelines that will comply with the Cape Town Convention, which is a globally recognized aircraft leasing standard. We ask that you stay tuned to your Beyond the News station, Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. The conversation continues. We've got to keep up with the National Assembly in a few moments. Do stay with us.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.